In this video, what I'd like to talk to you about is light. What does it stand for? Does anybody know? Light. You know, you see light every day, whether you're in the dark of the light or you're in the light of the light, the greater of the light. You still see light. Even the fallen angels do. Okay? And that's to remind them of the light. Okay? It's to remind you of the light. What the light stands for is first, the ground. Right? The ground. You know, like you stand on the ground and you look up and you see light. Well, how did that light get up there? It was sparked. Okay? And it was sparked by striking the ground like lightning. Okay? And when he struck the ground like lightning, but in the universe, the symbol popped up. Okay? It's called positive. This is the basic to mathematics. Okay? Understanding the positive. If you don't know what it stands for yet, they haven't been teaching it right. Okay? Why do I say this? Because what the positive stands for is a force field. First off, it creates its own force field. So it has a symbol like this. Representing for a force field. Okay? It's a positive force field. And what it is the negative and the positive have combined together in one. The negative and the positive have combined together in one, which means the ground and the striker, which is the charge, have come together as one unit to create what we call power. Okay? Power. And this is how you would get power in the universe. It would have to have a ground and a charge. Okay? And this should be the spark. The very first spark that sparked the whole thing into existence. Creation itself. It started with light, but it was in the void of darkness where the light was struck. Stated in the beginning of Genesis would teach you the basic instructions before leaving the earth, which means everything that's basic instructions in this earth is how the heavens work. Okay? That's why the Bible holds its own. And it's always has. And it cannot be denied, because if you don't understand it, it's because you don't want to understand it. You don't care to comprehend what's truly life means outside of the existence of the self. Light. To carry the light, I am the light. Okay? I am the positive. I am the ground and the striker together. I am the whole reason the existence of the heavens and the earth even came into play. Now there's many laws to the universe. One of the basic laws is the law of motion. Okay? Which was discovered by Newton, but he wasn't the first to know about it. Okay? He was just to put his name on it. He put his name on it, but it was in the Library of Alexandria and stuff like that. It was way back in the day. The pyramids were around. Come on now. The most advanced structure built still to this day as far as architects. What about the Colosseum of the Greeks? Okay? That's still yet to be recreated. Okay? So who was lifting these blocks? Half gods. Hercules and stuff, people like that. You just don't hear talk about it anymore because they've all disappeared. Where? The flood washed a lot of it away. Okay, a lot of the half gods and all that stuff were all washed away. Everything was washed that day that God washed the earth. And he washed it of darkness, not of the light, but the light suffered with the darkness. Why? Because the same reason you would suffer on the cross. Okay? You would have to be crucified with the darkness. But the righteous and the wicked shall not sit in the same congregation. Yes, you should read your Bible until you understand it. Okay? That's what I would say. Until you understand it. What it means. Because it's the book of light. It's the Bible. Okay? It means the book of life. Okay? It's the book of light. Enlightenment. Now, one of God's hidden locations to the book of light was the Egyptian pyramids. Okay, and that's why Joseph and Moses and all of them were in Egypt. Okay, they were studying the light within inside of the Egyptian hieroglyphs. I believe that's what they were doing. They were studying it. But there's also the book of death. The book of darkness, okay? This is called the book of light because it's called the book of life, okay? Life, okay? The book of death is the book of darkness, okay? It's where all the spells, magic, and rituals were put into this book. But these were ancient evil ones that would summon the dead, which would summon the fallen angels because they're dead. Okay, I want you to understand that they're already dead. So the only way for them to come back onto the earth is that they would have to be summoned into the bodies of physical characters. And then they would be allowed to body jump. I believe it works something similar to that. I'm not entirely 100% sure, but you have to allow access into your vessel. That's why if you're a clean spirit, they won't bother you. Now, they still technically will through the trials and tribulations in your testing. But that's everybody's got to go through the same test. Everybody on the earth. No one is exempt from suffering. And that is why when you choose the fallen angels, you suffer more. When you choose darkness, you suffer even more. No money can satisfy the amount of death you're going to have to put on a table. You can act the toughest because you're flashing cash. But behind them closed doors, when it's just you by yourself and that cash is in your hand, it can't satisfy the void of darkness that's in your soul. Because you have no light. You have no light. You've fallen from the book of light, okay? That is the book of light. It's the basic instructions before leaving this earth, okay? And everybody understands to leave this earth, you must leave as light. You can't leave as darkness. Darkness gets consumed in the void of darkness. It's cold, it's bitter. It's your worst nightmare. It's like being in negative 60 degrees with no light. You're dead. And that's why I said you will be written in the book of the dead. as a soul that will not be remembered, but will be recycled in the trash when this earth dies. If you don't make it off of here before the earth dies, you go in with it. There's nothing for me to say besides you either make it off or you don't. The choice is yours. It's very simple. Choose a master. The master of light or the master of darkness. Very simple choice. You like light, artificial light, but you like light. You like the sunlight. You like to go to the beach. You like to enjoy yourself when it's hot on the summer days. You like to go picnics. You like to walk your dog. You like to let your cat out because your cat likes to go outside. The animals like to come out and play when it's summertime. You hear them chirping and singing all day long. Just happy as can be. But it's you who isn't happy. Why? Because you're continuing to choose the wrong master. This is the master of life. He will teach you about life and how to maintain it without having instruction books in front of you. Now, the one book to get to God the fastest is the Bible. Okay, it is just the truth. There's no other book on this planet that can get you to God fastest if you can understand the riddle and the parables. If you understand the riddles and the parables, you can find God. Will He answer you? Not every day. Will you be alone? Some days. That's your testing ground. That's your battleground. That's where you got to fight. He puts you out there as a warrior to be in the spirit, actively going into spiritual warfare. This includes my character. Okay? Now, you will be attacked heavily as you continue this journey. Look at everyone that's in that book. They were all attacked or killed. That's just the truth. You either get attacked and tortured, or you get killed. And that's the suffering of the cross, the light. But we get to leave and go to the heavens. We get to go to a better place. They don't. They don't. They know they don't. That's why they don't care. Because they sold out already. You know what I'm saying? They sold out for the money. They were like the spirit of Judas. Okay? Judas sold out for money. He sold out for money, sold out the light for darkness. And then realized quickly, right after he made that choice, how stupid of a fool he was when he was facing the Messiah. The book of life, right in front of him. And he got knocked out of the book of life that day. That's why he went and hung himself. And if you ever heard of anything that states in that Bible, when you hang yourself, you are cursed. So immediately Judas Iscariot was cursed. Okay? He was not only cursed, but he sent himself to hell, where he would be tortured by the darkness. It's not there to comfort you. It's not there to tell you, we're going to solve all your problems, buddy. It's not going to come comfort the girls. It's going to torture them. You're going to look hideous. First off, you think you look good now. See your spirit. See how ugly and hideous you really look. You're a nasty, ugly creature is what you are on the dark side. And you've been bound to the earth as a creature, so you became something that the earth was. Some type of bush creature, monster. That's why I call them the bush creatures, because that's one of the things that God turned them into. Bound them to the earth and turned their looks from the heavens angels to demons. And they were casted since that day to the underworld to be tortured by fire. That's a pretty heavily punishment, man, to be tortured by fire. That's why he calls it the lake of fire and brimstone. Why did you like fire? Because fire goes and it can destroy immortality. It's the only thing that destroys immortality, pretty much, is fire. You can burn the spirit to death, and that's called spiritual death. That's why he says you're going to dump a bunch of people in this lake of fire and brimstone. That means you got all spiritual death, buddy. You got a recycled spirit and shit to the recycling bin. You ever hit delete on your computers and then the file was gone, you couldn't find it? Exactly what would be your spirit. Because you went against the master of light, the master of life. Okay? When he says, I am the light, he's saying, I am life. Without the light, there is no life. So then you understand that light is life. Spelled L-I-F-E. What you love to do is live your life the way you want, but not the way you need. And it was unison that the problem would be fixed together as one. The more people who came together as one body under Christ, under God, the Most High, would you see the world become a better place over a period of time. It would take a little while, but it would eventually occur. As anything when switching directions. It doesn't happen overnight, okay? This is considered the crossroads, right? So what happened first was there was a negative, the void of darkness. And then he struck the light right through it. And this is the cross, okay? The cross is, I am the light. And he took I am the light to the cross and bared it for all of us to receive redemption in the spirit, not the physical. The physical is bound to the earth, predestined to die and become skull and bones once again. Now, if you look at the existence of how long bones last for a very long time, which means that the body of the physical actually states that you could live up to 1,000 years. Okay, because the bones stated. The bones are still around 1,000 years later. So with that being said, and how do we notice? Go to the catacombs. You see many skull and bones there, and they've been in there for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. That's an original old catacomb system to basically an underground city. An underground city during a cataclysmic ice age or something. They would all go underground, and they would survive. And they would have these giants roll these stones over. These were the giants were on the earth. Now these were different. Now these were like offsprings of the giants. These weren't the originals. These are little giants. Okay, you got the big giants and you got the little giants. There's a difference between the two. You got Littlefoot and Bigfoot. Okay, Littlefoot, he stands around anywhere from 9 to 15 feet. Okay, this is because the women were sleeping with the bigger giants. I don't know how they were taking it, but they did. Okay, and if you look at what they be taking they be taking triple penetration on pornography, so they can take one huge giant pecker, right? So then you would see that the brothers are an offspring of the Nephilims, okay, or the giants. That's why they have carried the bigger slum, okay, because they have the fallen DNA, the strongest version of it, the strongest. That's what makes them the most wicked, because they can't control it. And then they ravish the land across the entire world. And it doesn't matter. They think it's gang, gang, bang, bang. And that doesn't work with the Master of Light. That only works with the Master of Darkness. And that's why you're seeing them do so much darkness. Because their crew has to come in the end. Those are the valley of the shadow of death. Those entities, those demons. When they arrive, it will be the brothers. Okay? Yes, it will. I've seen it for myself. They were the valley of the shadow of death, bush creatures. Okay? A gang of them. Football players, all sorts of people, man. You wouldn't even suspect would be a demon. And in the spirit realm, you would be only able to see it. You won't be able to see it in the physical because you'll be bound to physical laws. Okay? Once you're in the spirit realm, everything turns up. I'm talking about they're running through walls and stuff, buddy. Now you have the morphers. Okay, the morphers are people that were human, but actually can morph into some type of demon or creature. These are all the offsprings of the fallen angels. Okay, their bloodline. It's on the earth. Yes, it is. Do not even tell me it isn't, because you'd be a dang. That's why they don't want to talk about there's no life outside of us, because they're them. It's them. Fools, wake up. It's them. They're lying. It is them. They are the fallen angel offsprings. And their job is to maintain their power for as long as they can maintain it before God comes and destroys them. And He will. He's on His way. He already sent His Son into the world. Why wouldn't He finish His job? Would it make sense, would it? So then you know timing will tell the end to the story. That the false prophet, the Antichrist, and the devil itself, the serpent, will all get tossed into the lake of fire and brimstone, be tortured for eternity. Okay? Which means He's not actually going to take their immortality. He's going to make them suffer. For eternity would probably be the existence of the universe. What's left of it. Everything has a time on it. So again, the universe will have to be recreated. Okay, that's what a new heaven and new earth is the recreation of what we are living in today. A matrix system that is not corrupted. Okay, because it's all matrix. Matrix came from Ma. Okay, it was a matrix. Okay, and that's why they call it matrix. Matrix is the Ma God. Okay, of fertility and something else. But it was a trick by the Ma God. Okay, to trick the illusion of the eye. This would keep their position in power. This was the pyramids actually have the fallen angels inside of it. Clear indication that some of them even have depiction of wings. Okay, now they're claiming that Thoth and all this, they're all fallen angels. Thoth is an angel. Okay, but he didn't fall like his brothers did. Okay, he was the truth. So he was one of the truths, so he was an angel. Because to uphold your truth, God wouldn't condemn you to the underworld. So Thoth is an angel, okay? And that's just the truth to it. I don't believe he's an Anunnaki because he's probably one of the creators of the Anunnakis. Why? Because it's an older species. But Thoth is like an original. Okay? Thoth is like an original angel. Now, am I 100% sure? No. But was he there when God was there? I believe so. I believe he was there when the original pyramid went up. That is inside those waters. Those pyramids, not these that you can see above. We're talking about in depths that can't be obtained. Okay? Why? Because the law of gravity resides there. The laws of the rest of the laws to what man needed is in there. Is in those pyramids. And they're in the water. There's 5 pyramids that are yet to be discovered as far as what's inside of it. They know it exists, but they've never been inside. Because you can't get out of the vessel at that depth. So it would crush you. It is impossible at this point. Unless when he shifts this pole shift, that he releases this Grand Canyon looking section to where you can access it. But I'm not 100% sure how you would even get to it or what depth it's at, where it's located at. I just know it's inside of the Bermuda Triangle. That's all I know. That there's, and it's occupied by the water creatures, okay? They're in there, I think it's they protect it, pretty much, the water creatures. Who are the water creatures? Not mermaids. They're like mermaids, but they're not mermaids, they're the blue guys, okay? They're the blue creatures. Why are they blue? Because the water is blue, so they blend in better. Okay, you can't see them. They're hard to see and detect because they blend in with the color of the water scheme. So they identify as a bluish color. And this is why it's depicted in some of the Indonesia or Indian countries as a blue character with all these arms. And they call it the Destroyer of Worlds. That's one of them. The Destroyer of Worlds was a very evil fallen angel. Okay? And that's why they worship that fallen angel inside of the CERN location, inside the tunnels. Okay? And they were doing all sorts of spells, rituals, and even sacrifices to this Hindu goddess called the Destroyer of the Worlds. And surely did it destroy the world? Yes. It did exactly what it said it was going to do. The witches, wizards, and warlocks literally committed suicide. They literally put a rifle in their mouth and freaking pressed the button. That's how they did it. They killed everybody. Just to be honest. We're all going to die because of witches, wizards, and warlocks. Put us to death. All of us, including themselves. They can't escape their own death. It's impossible. Where are they going to go? They thought they could take ships and stuff and fly out of here. That ain't going down. And well, whose neighborhood? You're going up there? Good luck. Guess who's up there, boys? God flies around in the ancient heavens? Man, he does not want to see you up there. Trust me. Not unless you are of the light. Your only path up is to be of the light. That's the only way you can go up there. If not, you get knocked right back down and get the fuck out of here. Tell me that I'm lying. That's why a lot of those Apollo ships were blowing up. Because they were hitting this invisible force field. Or they were having electrical fires. And then it would explode. which is possible that they were having a lot of electrical fires, trying to get to the upper atmosphere where they would hit the arc. Because you have to go so fast in order to get out of the arc. Because if not, it's just going to arc you right back down. And they haven't been able to get past the speed. I don't believe they have. That's why they sent satellites instead. Because they can't get man up there. Man can't go up. Why? Because man's not of the light. It's claiming light, but it's not. NASA has a serpent tongue on it. So what light is to serpents? We haven't seen one yet that's of the light. They're pedophiles and stuff. That's why the highest rate of pedophilia behavior is inside that government. Inside the Pope system. The Popes is not even humans. Those are the skull and bone reptilians. The Francis Pope and all them boys, yes they are. The Cardinals, yes they are. The fish gilly boys, I call them. They're not of the light, they're of the Vaticans, which is the catacombs. They're of the fallen angel, descendants. Here to deceive us into false worship. Worshipping women over the Creator, which was like worshiping Mary. Mary is not supposed to be worshipped. Now she's supposed to be not worshipped, because worshiping her will be idolizing her. You'll be idolizing, you'll be idol worshipping a female who did not put the creation into effect. Now she would be wisdom, the book of wisdom. She would be part of the book of wisdom, the book of female, because females have wisdom. And raising children and stuff like that, they have a lot more wisdom than a man would. Why? Because that's their nature. That's why they call it motherhood or Mother Earth. Okay? Because mothers would carry the children on the earth and would restore the balance through reproduction. Okay? There should be a bit of balance between light and darkness before the characters would appear to make their own choice. Okay, and as they continue to make their own choice, you will see the choice slowly either go on either side of the scale. And then you'd be weighing it. Light, darkness, light, darkness. And then it would just be by the choice implemented into the game. Okay? And you can obviously see the choice, even all the way to Asia, has all chosen the choice of darkness, even including Russia. Okay? They're all involved. Now some people have opted out in the very end to be of the darkness any longer and to serve the light, which was pretty much Russia. Okay, and that's the only one we've seen so far cop to the light, which has surrendered, it's forfeited it, basically its ability to continue to play into the game of darkness. And it switched sides in the very end. Why? Because it's ludicrous. It's suicide. To kill your entire nation